Finally. Good. Best time of the year. Everything's on. It's so good.
Yeah, well, not the Premier League, unfortunately,
Oh yeah,
but at
apart
least
from
not
that,
this weekend. Rest in peace, Lizzie.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think everyone can agree. Like even if a lot of people did pick the Bills, but I think they thought it would be a much closer game. Like it just I think the worrying part was how easily they collapsed and how one dimensional their offense was. So I think defensively, the Rams defense tried to keep them in the game, right? Especially in the first half when with the interception and quite a few turnovers. But it was just like Matthew Stafford only saw Cooper Cup and like ignored the rest of his team. He threw some other picks to other people, but like, how does Allen Robinson have one reception? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And I think we spoke about it. Like, he's against a rookie. The rookie, this is his first NFL game. Like, Allen Robinson is not like he's throwing it up to like Alan Lazard. Like, Allen Robinson is still a good wide receiver. He was WR1 in the Bears last year. So that to me is super surprising. I mean, I think Darrell Henderson looked really, really good, but I think like use him more. If every time you've given him the ball, he's gotten you at least 4 or 5 yards. Like technically, by math, if you run the ball and your average yards per carry is 4 yards, you will win the football game, right? Eventually, if your average will get you down to the touchdown like zone. So I don't know. It's just not McAfee. McVee had a really bad strategy, and it showed. Oh, yeah, Von Miller. What the one thing I do want to add is 2/3 of the Rams that were playing, like the team that was playing on the field, didn't play a single snap in the preseason. So I think it could also just them being super rusty and like not like being in the flow of the NFL. But I don't think it really validates getting smacked as hard as they did. Dan, I don't know. I don't know what you think.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of shocking to be honest. It was a tight game at halftime. I thought it was a pretty good game until then, and it just kind of like fell apart. I think we have to take into consideration that Matthew Stafford had off-season surgery on his throwing arm. So, I mean, if you know, in baseball, they have it's quite often that pitchers get this injury. Tommy John surgery is what it's called, and it takes a while to get back to the velocity, the accuracy that you're throwing at. I think he just was probably concerned about his arm more than anything. Can I throw the ball accurately? People are hitting me, all that kind of stuff. And I think they need Odell Beckham back. I think they're not going to get anywhere without a second star receiver because you could see at the end he was throwing it to like triple coverage basically. Matthew Stafford, Like he was getting double teamed with a guy dropping behind them, and that last pick I think said everything. It was just like, everyone's on top of him, and as long as you cover Cooper Cup, you're not going to get anywhere. And even though they struggled at times covering Cooper Cup, because he did get a ton of yards and a ton of catches, the rest of the offense did absolutely nothing. Maybe it'll help when Van Jefferson plays. I mean, he was pretty good last year, and he was injured for this game. But I also don't think he's enough of a, game changer where, they're going to suddenly start winning. Yeah. So Allen Robinson played 62 of 64 snaps. That's
Yeah.
insane. To have one, not even one catch. It's only 2 targets out of 64 attempts. That's insane. To pay a free agent wide receiver and not even like use him, unless I guess maybe his point was using him as a decoy. But I mean, at what point in the game did the
Yeah.
Bills just be like, okay, let's put the 6th-round rookie on this guy? We don't even need to cover him anymore. Crazy.
Which is, well, I mean, sorry. To me, it shows two things though. Like, if McVie sees this, like, why are you not adapting your playbook? Right? Like, that to me is just bad coaching. Like, clearly the Bills picked up on what you're trying to do and tunnel visioning on Cup. Like, adapt, bro. Like, you use him. And the second thing, which is an interesting point you said, Dan, is like, they need OBJ back. But do you think OBJ would go? Because prior to the game and for most of the summer, he was actually linked to go to the Bills. He even posted like, "Hey, Bills Mafia," like, or like, "Hey, Von Miller, like,
Yeah.
should we run it back or something?" So
I'd
after
100%
a
go if the
performance
Bills
like
got rid of him.
this, yeah. I mean, it's funny because you saw it in his Twitter. Like, he's like, "Cup," or like getting all hype and whatever. And then second half starts and he's like, "Bills Mafia?" question mark. So I was like, "Damn, bro! Like, these hoes ain't loyal for sure."
Yeah. I mean, imagine having Gabriel Davis and Stephon Diggs and OBJ. That'd be mad.
Yeah.
Did you see the second play that Cam Akers got where Stafford threw it like 10 yards behind him, and Akers had to basically run for like 15 yards to make it back to the line of scrimmage? I felt bad for him because he got tossed like the worst ball. I don't know why you're going back 10 yards to run the ball. It was the craziest play. And then McVay comes out and he's like, Cam Akers needs to do more with the opportunities he was given. I was like, dude, you tossed the ball 10 yards behind. What was he supposed to do? God, guy. Yeah, that was sad.
Uh,
Yeah,
hey, it's welcome to the NFL. This is welcome to the NFL moment.
yeah. all day on the Ravens minus whatever they want to put it at. I mean, this could be a massacre. I really think. I mean, they look good. The Jets look better because of the rookies. But again, this is the rookie's first game ever. Like you think Garrett Wilson's gonna be putting up like 100 yards, 3 touchdowns? Not gonna happen. Yeah, this is gonna be. I mean, it also depends on like where the mindset of Lamar Jackson is. Where's he at? That's the interesting part. Yeah, yeah.
not.
He's a game time
Kenny and Drake.
decision, I think.
Yeah, it's Kenny and Drake.
It's the Jets offense that's the problem, I think. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think both of you guys hit the nail on the head. But for both of you, what would be the cap to the spread? Like, what do you think would be the most? Like, if you were just going for your own spread, what would be the most you would put it? Would it be -10? Would it be -7.5? Like, where would you feel comfortable?
Comfortable 8.5, I think.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, under 10 points for sure, but like 8.5, 9.5 is probably where I'd stretch it to.
And do you
But yeah,
think?
this one is probably one I would want to stay away from because it feels like an easy game, but you never know what. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you mentioned that the over is 40, over under is 44 points. Would you, I think I would actually go the under. I think the Ravens would just are just gonna obliterate the Jets and just like run the ball, time waste, and it's gonna be like think about it. The Rams Bills didn't hit 44, right? It was 31-10, right? Or 17? No, 31-10. Yeah, so like two very talented offensive teams, like not even putting up those numbers. So no, I know.
Odd. Yeah.
And normally I
Unbelievable.
wouldn't. Normally I normally I don't go. Normally I don't go unders either. But just because there's like a physical limit that you can achieve, right? Like when you the over, if there's over, like you're done, right? Like you've already hit it. But the under, there's a very specific hard cap that you need to hit. But I just in a game like this, I don't see how both teams are going to score a combined 44 points. But that's just me. Give me the Browns all day, any day. I mean, yeah, I'm taking the Browns. Like, Panthers have a wonky O line. Baker, if you believe Baker Mayfield, as many people had said last year, is a bad quarterback by nature, like you're pretty much just hoping McCaffrey is going to do well against the Browns, right? And let's not forget on the Brown side, you still have Nick Chubb, you still have Kareem Hunt. Their starting quarterback up until Watson comes back is Jacoby Brissett, who's actually pretty decent. I'd probably put him in the same ranking, if not a bit higher than Baker Mayfield. So like Baker, like Jacoby has better wide receivers with Amari Cooper, who's super reliable, and they drafted this guy called Bell, who's very good as well. They have a phenomenal D line. They still have a decent secondary. Like, to me, the fact that the Browns are even the underdog is a shock. So I'm taking Browns all day. That I don't know about you.
I think I'm with Omar on this one. I don't. I, I'm like, okay. I think they got better at quarterback, the Browns. Like Jacoby Brissett is so underrated in my opinion.
100%.
And let's not forget the Browns have an elite defense. They have a really, really good, stellar defense. And let's not forget that it's Baker Mayfield throwing the ball. Um, Christian McCaffrey is going to be up against a really hard D line. Yeah, I think the Browns win this one and surprise a couple people. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't take. Again, this is another one where I'm not comfortable taking. I wouldn't bet on it. Let me put it that way. I'm not comfortable putting anything on this one.
But
It's
McCaffrey's
really
numbers don't
difficult to say
come from
anything
his
about any
rushing.
teams when we haven't seen them, right? Oh, sorry. I was just saying. It's really difficult for us to like say anything about these teams, these like new teams. So it's like a new Browns, it's a new Carolina Panthers, but we haven't seen a single snap from like the starters in a real game. So it's just like this is why it's like really difficult to touch these teams where there's so many new players, and it's like in your brain, it's like okay, this should work out, but in reality, it could be completely different. So
And all I said was like you got because you're talking about like McCaffrey's numbers. McCaffrey's numbers come from him slipping out and receiving the ball. It's not like McCaffrey's rushing it like a lot of McCaffrey's value comes from being thrown on like in the near pass and then him doing his thing in the open field. Right, but like if you actually look at his rushing, like pure rushing yards, you don't hear much of McCaffrey running for 150 yards, right? Like a lot of it is like he's such a valuable fantasy asset at least because he gets like 13 throws plus then the yards he gets after he runs. But it's not he's running that well because his O line is bad. The reason he slips so much is because they know they're gonna collapse all of the quarterback and the quarterback can just throw it to him and he can do his thing. So I'm not saying the Panthers O line is bad. I'm just saying when you have Miles Garrett and who else? There's David Cloudy coming at you
yeah,
from either side. Like no matter
yeah,
who, or no matter how good your O line is, you're gonna get smashed, right?
yeah, and the cornerbacks are good too. So like DJ
Yeah.
Moore is gonna not struggle, but he's not gonna be like lighting it up. I don't think so. A little.
Only.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. Only seven. What? Yeah, this is hammering the Colts all day. There's just no hope for the Texans here. No, it's not that. I mean, it's like I don't think there's much difference between the two quarterbacks. In all honesty, it's just like the completion of teams between the Texans and the Colts. The Colts are nearly like complete as a team. Like they're competitive. Texans are at the very beginning of a rebuild. They just got rid of Deshaun Watson. They just got all those picks. Like this is a team that'll be building for the next 5 years, if not more. So, yeah, yeah, it's a really small spread. The Texans must be at home, right? Yeah. Well, yeah, easy bet. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
sorry, but did Dan just say there isn't much differences between the quarterbacks?
I don't think so. I don't think Matt Ryan's good. I really don't think he's good.
Whew, now that's a hot take.
Best of any rookie last year, apart from Mac Jones. Not that that's anything to bang home about, but you know, he's old. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Survivor. Yeah. Nope. Zero faith.
That's all we needed. This is an awful game.
Mm-hmm. Zay Jones. Leveshka Schultz. No, he's still on the Jags. I'm pretty sure. Oh,
This is such a hard one, I think. But I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go with the Jags. I think they're gonna be improved. They got Etienne back. I think um, Trevor Lawrence takes a big step up this year. He had an awful year last year, but at the same time, he had the awful coaching um, with Urban Meyer, and now got a solidified coach, some new faces. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Jags here. Yeah.
well, I mean, it doesn't matter what I say because I would have taken the Commanders. I think I think the Jags just so okay. So two things. One, a lot of the Jags starters actually played in preseason, and they looked bad still. I remember watching. I think it was actually the first game or the second game in the preseason. Lawrence looked awful, and I don't know if just him being rusty or like a lot of new faces coming into the team and still kind of like aligning with each other. But it's not like they were holding. It's not like the Rams where they were holding back in preseason and like you can validate it. Like they played their players, and so and on the flip side, okay, Carson Wentz isn't the best, but you still have Gibson, you still have McKissick, who is McCaffrey esque. I'm not saying same caliber as McCaffrey, but like that like receiving back who does very well in open play. You still have Terry McLaurin. They have Logan Thomas back, who was a huge target before he got injured. they still have a very reliable defense, and Ron Rivera is a very good coach. So last year there was a lot of turbulences with the team, and obviously they had this whole back office issues and like lawsuit against them. So I think now this dust has settled. They've done a lot of changes, and it's like finally like his team that he can like mold himself. So I'm going Commanders actually all day. I don't think the Jags are good just yet. How can you go against your own? How can you go against your own? How can you go? Well, not with that attitude.
Sorry, who was this one? Which one was this? Oh yeah. Oh, God. I think the Dolphins win this one. I got to be honest. I feel like Bill Belichick teams like tend to do better as the season goes on, and this Dolphins team has a lot to prove. Tua has a lot to prove. I think Tyreek Hill brings a ton of experience. I mean, Jalen Waddle first for a rookie season was insane. I think the offense got so much better because the offense ran through Jalen Waddle as a rookie last year, and that weight is taken off his shoulders by Tyreek Hill. We'll see how Tua does. I've not been the biggest fan of him, but I do think they'll be able to overcome a team that's just not as talented. I don't think probably better coached, but the talent is definitely good to the Dolphins side, and the spread's so low. I think you can just go with the Dolphins.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Dan hit the nail on the head. I think I don't know. The thing with the Pats is like they don't have like massive game changers. They just have a lot of reliable players, right? It's like they don't have like if you were to rank a player out of 10, like the Dolphins have a lot of players that are like 10 out of 10, right? Like elite, but then there's are some gaps, but then they're hoping that those 10 just like carry the patches or like cover the patches. But I just think in a team as Dan was saying, in like the first game in, like there's so much to prove, and I think the Dolphins want to start off with like a statement win, like, hey, look, what we've done has been worth it. I and like there's honestly a bit of trash talking as well by the Dolphins players, like Hill saying, "Oh, I prefer Tua over Mahomes with accuracy." Like just the overall vibe is just like, "Hey, we're ready to ball." So I think they have to prove it now. Well, I mean, as a Falcons hater, I I have to go with the Saints. Well, I mean, look, I think the Falcons just are in disarray. Like, I think Marcus, like, think about it. Marcus Mariota is their quarterback. I don't know who their running back is. I think they're doing it by committee. Between Cordell and Damian Williams, and then Allegri. Or not Allegri. Is it Allegri? I think that's the running back. Tyler Allegri. I think that's the third running back. Um, and then like that's it, right? Like the one other decent player that they had is banned for a year for betting. Meanwhile, Deshaun is like chilling after like gonna come back after like 10 games, but that's a whole different conversation. So I just don't see. I don't like. There's no one in the Falcons that's good on defense. The one good player on offense is Pitts, but he's getting Mariota throwing balls at him. So I just I think the Saints are gonna smash. I'm really hoping Winston has a good season. Like I think a lot of people would like meme him, but it is inspiring him seeing him putting in the work, like genuinely busting his ass to be the best player he can be. And I think that itself is like a very inspirational story. And he's a good guy. Like no one has actually spoken ill will of him as a person. So I just want to see him succeed. So I'm going Saints all day.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think this is going to be a pretty big blowout by the New Orleans offense. I think they're just a better team. I'm most interested to see what Michael Thomas does, whether
If he
he
plays.
regains like his 2019 season, or whether it's this is it for him. I feel like this is his kind of like boomer bust year. Like if he doesn't perform here, he's kind of like gone. He fades into you know history, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Julio Jones says Bryant world.
yeah, exactly. So let's see, but I really do think New Orleans are just gonna maul them. I just don't see. I mean, it's Drake London is still questionable. He's the number one wideout, so you only
Oh
got
yeah, I
Kyle
forgot.
Pitts. Like Kyle Pitts and Cordell Patterson, that's not going to be enough. New Orleans have way more weapons, and Chris Olave, the rookie, is going to be. I think he's going to be really interesting to watch. Yeah, I Not
know. I mean,
sure
I
if he
think that
went
would
up
be.
in fantasy there. I don't know.
I think. I think he got all of them. To be fair, it was a. It was like it was a tip. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, who's starting Mariota? like,
Yeah, that is a good question. Who? I have no
like,
idea.
well, honestly, and that's what like I know we've been joking a lot about like Cam Akers, but like who like unless you've done like a zero draft, like zero RB early strategy, and like Cam Akers was like the best you can do, and you're like stuck starting him, like who in their righteous mind was actually starting Cam Akers in their fantasy team? I know, and I know in one of our leagues, the person who drafted Cam Akers did start him, thank God. I wish one of us was against him, but like I think that's a very rare occasion. Like I don't think anyone is starting Cam Akers willingly. Mm. But on the notion of on the notion of Ayuk, like I will go on record and say it here, right? You can write this down. He will have a great season this year. I've physically, like not physically, but like I have actively tried to watch 49ers training, and his connection with Trey Lance is phenomenal. Trey Lance throws to him all the time. He throws to him deep balls. So if you're looking at like the points per reception as well, like it's going to be mad points because every deep ball he's thrown to Ayuk. I will go on record and say I won't say I don't think he'll be like top five, but I think he'll have a top 20 season this year on record. I wouldn't be surprised, you know.
Yeah, I think Detroit got significantly better this year, but I think the Eagles got so much better that they're challenging for their division against the Cowboys. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win over the Cowboys this year. I think they got a lot better. It all hinges on one factor, and that's whether Jalen Hurts got better at throwing the ball. If he stayed the same, I think the Cowboys win it. If he improved, I think they have a really, really, really good offense. Really good offense. Um, and I think they're going to improve on the ground too. I mean, Miles Sanders, what he didn't score a single touchdown last year. Was that what happened? So I think it's going to be not easy for the Eagles, but I think this is a fairly easy game to call. I'd be shocked if they started the year losing to Detroit and calling themselves a contender for the division. I wouldn't go that far, but playoff team for sure. Um, but yeah, exactly.
Well, I agree with Dan that both teams got a lot better, but I wouldn't write off the Lions so easily. Like if you look at all their games from last season, yes, they lost, but all of it was like by like millimeters and inches, right? It wasn't like they were getting blown out every single game. So when you have like they've drafted one of the best linebackers out of college last year in Aiden Hutchinson. I know Williams is still on IR, so he doesn't get to make as much of a difference this year. But then this is like another year with Goff in this offense. I think I'm gonna go Eagles because it's the safer bet, but I actually wouldn't use. I wouldn't come near this game for my survivor pick. Like if Dan is thinking about it, like fair enough. But I actually think it's gonna be a lot closer than anticipated. I just think the Lions have like they're doing hard knocks. Their coach is like super like riled up and emotional. They all like are like as players, they all want to prove something for their coach. So I think they're just gonna come out super hard, like super intense. Um, so I'm just gonna go Eagles because it's a safer decision, but I would not be surprised at all if the Lions win. And I kind of want them to because I do like a good underdog story.
No, I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be the Bengals that win and win by more than 7. I watched all the Steelers pregame, not pregame, preseason games, at Heinz Field, and when Mitchell Trubisky was playing, it just was really bad offense. Really bad offense. The only time the Steelers looked good was when he was off the field and Kenny Pickett came on. Uh, Not to say that Mitchell Trubisky is bad. I just don't think he is good enough to be a Steelers starting quarterback with the talent that they have at, in offense, defense, everywhere. I think if if the Steelers just had a cent like Kirk Cousins, I think they would be like an elite team. Like they just need like a really just a solid quarterback. Doesn't have to be an elite star, just a solid quarterback, and that's just not what they have, and they haven't had that for 5 seasons now. Um, so yeah, but the problem is that the Steelers don't want to be throwing picks around to trade for a star quarterback. They're very like pick heavy, which makes sense. Look at all of their first round picks: T.J. Watt, um, Najee Harris this year, Kenny Pickett. Like they're all like star players that should be star players, and they don't really miss. I will give them that. They don't really miss on their picks. So yeah, it's just really difficult for them. I guess they have to wait for a free agent quarterback to come along, and that just doesn't happen very often. So yeah, I mean, but right, yeah, going from Ravens to the Steelers is probably very unlikely, but never say never. But yeah, um, this one's just too tough. Super Bowl runner-ups against the Steelers. Bengals have a point to prove, I think, that it wasn't a fluke. So unfortunately, Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think if Trubisky wasn't starting, I would say it's a lot closer. But he is starting, and so I think I'll go Bengals.
100%. I think TJ is like one of those guys that's undroppable in every game he plays. Completely undroppable. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, I just don't see. He's just like his brother. Put doesn't matter what team you play against. Doesn't matter how good the O line is. He'll get to the quarterback a couple times. He might force a fumble. When he hits someone, that ball pops out. So I'm yeah, never drop him. Yeah, yeah. And if the Bears win this game,
I will cry if the Bears lose win. I will shed genuine tears. Full send 49ers. And look, I think I'm saying this not because necessarily I think the 49ers are going to be amazing. I think they'll probably do a tad bit better than they did last year, simply because I think their division overall got a bit wonkier. Like I think the Cardinals. I mean, if the Rams are gonna, I don't want to base a lot of assumptions off one game, but if I don't think the Rams are going to be as good as they were last year. I don't think they'll still be good, but just not as good. I think the Cards kind of stayed the same, but I mean, there's still reservations about them. So I think the 49ers have more room to grow and do better. So I think they'll overall do better this year. But the main reason I'm saying full send is just because I think the Bears are so bad. Like they lost Allen Robinson. Their running back situation, I think right now is Montgomery, but I think at some point Khalil Herbert is going to take over. So like, it's still getting accustomed to a new style of running back. Um, like wide receiver, their best bet is Daryl Mooney, and honestly, I think I saw him do two or three good plays all of last year season, and that's it. And regardless of that, you still have Justin Fields thrown to you, who I don't know if he's going to be good or not. Why? Why? Um, I, should, I think he gets like, but okay, but at the same time, maybe he did good last year because Allen Robinson took all the heat off him. But now that he's going to be getting like elite coverage, like who else? Who's next in line to be thrown to? They have no one. Like maybe I would honestly maybe say Komet. Like I think if you're a Komet owner, like maybe you get a bit more excited. But that's about it. Like I think that team is so. I would actually think the Texans have more excitement to them than the Bears.
100%.
We shall see. I hope
I
so.
love Cole Kmet. He's so good.
So yeah, so I'd say that's the one saving grace in that team. Apart from that, 49ers all the way. I think 49ers also had a few injury issues last year. So like now that we have Bosa back, we have we've drafted quite a few decent secondary players, which was a weakness of ours last year. I think we'll be good, or at least better.
Yeah, I think you can have questions about the Niners offense, but there's no question about their defense. So it's just whether they can score, and you're against the Bears, so you're bound to score. So Brown was against the Chiefs. Yeah. Yep. I disagree. I think it's gonna be Minnesota that wins.
Same.
I'm sorry. I think they have a
I think
really good
Minnesota.
offense.
I
But
yeah.
we just
I
really
think
wanted you
Minnesota.
to write it down.
Yeah, exactly.
I said we just really want you to write this down that you have to write Vikings. Yeah, sorry. I just have a feeling this year Justin Jefferson could be the top wide receiver in the league this year. Um, I think Kirk Cousins is solid, like I've said before. Dalvin Cook, as long as he's injury free, and he is at the moment. Um, and they got decent defense. I don't know. I just don't know where Aaron Rodgers' mind is at. He just seems all over the place right now. I don't know if I've been watching too many podcasts with him on it or something, but he just doesn't seem as locked in as he has been in previous years. And he hasn't been
So
happy with his wide receivers. I mean, he's been talking shit about his wide receivers. Like that to me is like a huge red flag. It's more so about how Aaron Rodgers has been acting and talking about his team, rather than the potential performance they could put out. So that's my analysis on it, I guess.
well, I mean, so I think it's two things. I think one, it is that, and I think the second is the Vikings have gotten better, right? Like they've gotten rid of a coach that did very bad plays, and now they have an offensive minded coach. They traded for Jalen Rager, so now the wide receivers on the Vikings is Jalen Rager, JJ, and Adam Thielen. Like that is a very good wide receiver core, right? Like if like you, I don't. I mean, maybe Rager's obviously I'd say the weakest out of the three, but if you leave one open, it's not going to be like the Rams where you can just like tunnel vision on JJ and like the rest will not do anything. Like the rest are ballers as well. And I think the Dalvin Cook Madison backfield. I think it's probably I would say in terms of depth, I would say maybe the Browns are the only ones that have better running back depth, and then I would probably put it between the Cowboys and the Vikings. Really, like in terms of like a
Yeah,
two person punch, like those two are very good. So I think Kirk is reliable, as Dan said. Like on the Packers, you've lost a few defensive players. You haven't got any offensive reinforcements. You're just hoping and praying that AJ Dillon has like a breakout year, and Rogers like does miracle throws again. So I actually think I would not be surprised if the Packers are not in the top two of their division this year.
Yeah, even
I
they're kind
wouldn't
of
be
like
surprised.
low. Their lower end wide receivers like KJ Osborne, he had like 7 touchdowns last year. It's not
Yeah.
just going to like Omar said, I'm not going to one guy. It's they're throwing the ball around. They got threats everywhere. Whereas I don't think Green Bay has as good a wide receiver core as Minnesota does, and that might not be the case at the end of the year. I mean, they got two really good rookies and Dubes and Watson, but we also don't know what they're going to be like. We don't. It's a rookie. You never know what a rookie's going to be like, but you know exactly what you're getting with the four wide receivers in Vikings.
Like I'm more excited. Sorry. No, I just want to say I would rather put on a Detroit Lions game on TV than a Packers game. For sure. For sure. By the way, this is for sure. Once Williams comes back, I'm sure they're gonna play much more exciting football than Green Bay. I'm not just hating on Green Bay because I know you're a fan. I just don't see where, apart from Rodgers, where the X factor to win is. There is no X factor. No, well, clearly it isn't because you haven't won shit in the past decade. Like he's not in. Think about it. Rogers, when I'll say 2 years ago, when you guys had Devontae, when you had a better wide receiver corps, when you had everything, could not take you to the Super Bowl. Why does everyone think all of a sudden he's gonna do it this year? Like, or win, or even win frequently. Like, you guys will definitely win much less than last year, and win. And you had huge pieces of both offense and defense leave. Well, okay,
It's
okay.
possible, but also remember that all those games that the Packers did clutch up on, they had one wide receiver that always clutched for them, and he's not there anymore.
I just have one question. So, Gabo, you said 12 wins, right? You said 12. You think they're gonna win 12 wins this year? Dan, how many wins do you think the Packers will end up with this year?
I'm gonna go with 10. 10 wins. 9 or 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 9. I think they're not gonna win more than 9.
No, you have a fairly easy schedule when you read it like that, but also there's teams that are definitely up in the air, like Cowboys, Philly.
Eagles. Yeah,
Yeah, I think the Eagles is not an easy game. I think people are underestimating them. But yeah,
I don't.
like you said, you have like a fairly easy schedule. But again, I still think 10 is like where you'll be at.
I think 10 is your max.
10 might be enough for. It's probably is enough for the playoffs though. So like that's all you need. Yeah. Right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's like Tampa saying like, "Oh my God, we're the we win our division. Like, who cares? It's like Super Bowl or bust. Same with Rams.
Yeah.
Same with every top tier team. Like the Texans would win the AFC South every year. That doesn't mean shit when you get knocked out of the wild card straight after that. Like a little division, like a 14 division means absolutely nothing. It means zero. Playoffs are what matters. So, yeah. All right, cool. Well, unfortunately, I have to jump off, boys, because I'm going to Pitt versus Tennessee. It's at 3:30, but Michaela's dad likes to pick us up like 3 hours early, so I gotta go shower and get ready. Yeah.
Let's
Sweet.
go.
All right. Cool. Enjoy. See you, boys. Bye bye.
See you, man. Whee! Um, so I think the Chiefs really underperformed last year, by their standards, right? I think they, especially last year, they started off the season so wonky, that it still hurt them in the end. I think this year they've had some additions. You know, they've added Juju, they've added MVS. Obviously, they lost Tyreek, but they did try to provide Mahomes with new weapons. Cardinals. The thing about the Cardinals is like last year they started off really hot as well, and then they dipped. But if I was to compare both teams, I'd say their offense is pretty similar in terms of quality overall, like in terms of talent and everything. But I think the difference is the Cards' defense has better talent. Like they have much better players. They still have JJ. They still have Isaiah Simmons. They have a few other pieces that are good. So even though it kills me, who's playing? Are they at Arizona or are they at Kansas? Yeah, I oof. Well, I mean, look, I think on paper it should be a Chiefs win, but I think Arizona has the better defense. So I wouldn't be surprised if they shut down Mahomes, but it is Patrick Mahomes and he is elite. I'm very interested to see him with his new wide receivers. Man, that spread changed my mind. I think okay, I think I'm gonna go Chiefs. But I would not take the spread. I would take money line, but I would not take that spread because I think it's actually gonna be a much closer game than that. I don't know about you. Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Mhm. Oof. Hmm. 100%. Rondell Moore, yeah. Yeah. Is he not? Mm. Yeah, yeah. 100%. I know. Interesting. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the Chargers defense was already pretty good, and then they added Khalil Mack, who like you have Joey Bosa coming to you from one side, you have Khalil Mack coming from the other, you have Derwin James as the safety blanket at the back. I think they still as you said, I think Keenan Allen is such an underrated wide receiver. He's so good. He's been so consistent and so good for so long. I think Herbert continues to be very good. Um, I just think they also have more stability from last season, right? Because as the point Dan was making, right? Because like all these brand new teams, you just don't know what to expect. But then we know what to expect from the Chargers, and we know it's very good, and they only got better, right? Like they only added Khalil Mack in the mix, so I think I'm gonna go Chargers. I don't know this about the spread per se because I do think it will be a close game, but I do if I was go money line, I would pick Chargers. So here's the thing. I think the Giants are abysmal, but now the Titans really only now have Derrick Henry, right? They don't have AJ Brown. They don't have Julio. They have Robert Woods and Ryan Tannehill. Like doesn't really scream excitement to me. Um, but at least they have that. Like the Giants, they don't have. They have Saquon back, so I'm very excited to see him play again and like see if he's been able to regain that form that he had from 2 years ago and kind of like Lamar, like or like kind of like Michael Thomas. Honestly, I think this is Saquon's like make it or break it season, right? Like, or at least to be considered as an elite running back where you're getting big contracts. Like, otherwise, you're just going to be considered like a Miles Sanders, right? Like, you're good, but nothing special. Um, so indeed, yeah, yeah, time as it is. It was exactly. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think the fact that Brady unretired, he like to him, this is his victory lap. Like this is his do or die year to get another ring. Um, I'm very interested to see how that offense plays without Gronk because he did use Gronk quite a lot, and they had obviously natural chemistry. Kyle Rudolph is still a very decent option, right? But it's I don't think is sorry, I don't think it's Gronk. So I will give it to the Bucks, but I think the spread is perfect. But I think, but I think the Cowboys obviously don't have they only have CD Lamb and this wide receiver rookie that they got. My only issue is that the Bucks are like older, right? Like at some point as a team, like that physical toll is gonna get to you, and like the Cowboys have so many young athletic studs that they can just like steamroll them, right? Like so. I'm not. I still would go Bucks, but it's not with confidence. Like if I'm like I'm in a Survivor League, for example, I'm not gonna even look or touch this game just because I would not even with all their like defensive like sorry with their offensive like players missing, I can still see the Cowboys steamrolling the Bucks. I'm just assuming the Bucks are gonna have that same mojo from last year and do well. Literally. Van Der Esch, Leighton Van Der Esch, and Diggs, Tremont Diggs. Yeah, which he's shown to do, by the way. Like he's and Brady in terms of like TD to interception ratio, he has been throwing more interceptions. So it's and like for example, like in that league that we're both in, like I have the Cowboys defense, and I think obviously Brady is Brady, and this is the first game, but I would not be surprised if my Cowboys defense gets me a ton of points, just like interceptions, sacks, etc. You know. Very like unwillingly, yes. I mean, so for reference, everyone, I'm not a Seahawks stan. I love my 49ers. All I said was the Seahawks are going to have more wins than the Falcons. Unfortunately, their first game is against the Broncos, who are in very good shape. I would take that spread. I think the Broncos are going to have a point to prove. Like, hey, Broncos country, let's ride. Um, I think they're so well rounded now. They have good weapons in wide receiver. They have Melvin Gordon and Javante Williams in running back. They've always had a decent defense with like led by Bradley Chubb. Like I don't think it's an elite defense, but it's okay. Um, so yeah, I'm unfortunately going Broncos, but hey, I hope my Seahawks surprise even me, get a crazy upset, and I have a better point to prove. But I am going Broncos. No, no. Hmm. Yeah, I think I do. Yeah, I think. I mean, I think it's a bit of both. I think it was Pete Carroll because Pete Carroll didn't help him. I mean, through the organization, didn't draft him an O line. He's like, I keep getting sacked. Like, please just draft me people to protect me. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a good Sunday. It's a good Sunday. It's a good